Hello, and welcome. Tensions are always high when a beloved franchise is rebooted, and Star Wars is no different. Today we're discussing the new movies, some controversial creative decisions, and why I think that they're completely warranted, and in the spirit of our favorite space opera. First, I'd like to address some rhetoric that I think many of us have encountered or used during our discussions about Star Wars in the last couple of years. Since the release of the first teaser for Episode 7 back in 2014, there has been a lot of name-calling, with words like triggered, SJW, cuck, and Mary Sue being particularly prevalent. I don't personally think that Star Wars has a leftist agenda, but it's no secret that the first trilogy had themes of anti-authoritarianism, and that George Lucas is a vocal supporter of Barack Obama, and compared the former VP Dick Cheney to the Emperor. So he doesn't seem like a guy who would mind diversity in his franchise. The original films were about overcoming adversity through conviction and solidarity. What better way of perpetuating those themes than to have people in your production and your narrative with differing perspectives? One of the things I find the most appealing with Star Wars is its universality. When George Lucas developed the films, he took inspiration from everything, and in the process, he made a franchise with almost unprecedented influence in popular culture. Kyle Calgren has a great video illustrating this, and I suggest you check it out because it's phenomenal. One of the main inspirations for George Lucas when developing the films was Joseph Campbell's book, Hero with a Thousand Faces, from 1949. In the book, Campbell theorizes that most stories and myths from around the world can be boiled down to certain characteristics or narrative stepping stones, if you like. The idea is not really new. Vladimir Prop, whom I mentioned in the last episode, as well as several other folklorists, have made similar claims and methods for analyzing narrative structure before Campbell, but what he did was he made it really accessible by addressing what he called the monomyth and its significance in personal narratives. I find it a bit perplexing that we've been treated to such a backlash concerning the character of Rey, the most common gripe being her apparent status as a Mary Sue. The term Mary Sue originated as a parody of self-insert characters in fanfiction, but has turned into a bit of a derogatory term for a character, usually female, who is seen as too perfect, upstaging every other character in a way that is deemed unrealistic or otherwise troubling. The term's usage today being gendered, usually, along with one being hard-pressed to find its male counterpart in use, doesn't make a great case for it popping up in a discussion. Let me clarify. I'm not saying that you're sexist for using the term. I'm simply referring to its implications in discussions on social issues and popular culture. Characters with extraordinary abilities are nothing new in a franchise filled to the brim with space wizards. Anakin Skywalker was apparently born asexually, built a sentient machine, and became an immensely talented pilot by the age of 9. He is also described throughout the prequel trilogy as the Chosen One. Also, Starkiller, Darth Vader's secret apprentice in The Force Unleashed, stole his lightsaber as a toddler and murdered several Jedi Masters at a very young age before taking on the Empire and inspiring the rebellion. Talk about a self-insert character. There's usually an excuse, though, when it comes to male characters, especially in video games, like they're exempt from narrative analysis. It's not canon. They need the player to feel empowered. Which is fair, but let's try to be consistent in our criticism. We don't know Rey's arc yet. Jakku is an unforgiving place to grow up alone. She has major trust issues, no prospects, and spends much of the film holding on to an impossible dream. Sure, those aren't inherent character flaws, but when has that ever been used to discredit the entirety of a piece of art with a male protagonist? I like to juxtapose Anakin and Rey because at the start of their respective trilogies, we don't really know a lot about them. I think The Force Awakens is a way better movie than The Phantom Menace, and considering that the new trilogy shows a lot of promise, I like to think that the next 2/3 of the story will further explore her character, for those who remain unimpressed with my thoughts on that particular topic. Rogue One, like The Force Awakens, was met with critical acclaim and criticism. Rightly so, because neither film is perfect. What was up with that tentacle monster? I mean, I guess it was there to show us what an extremist Forrest Whitaker's character was, but it was really clumsy. I saw a couple of dumb Star Wars tweets right around the film's release, which concerned how the creative team behind the new films coded all their villains as white supremacists, making everything really clean-cut, unlike the earlier films. Despite the main conflict of Episode 7's villain being about their pull to the light, and the protagonists of Rogue One being treated with moral ambiguity. The last couple of trilogies chronicled the rise and fall of a democratically elected dictator who performs genocide while staffing stormtroopers and white dudes in gray uniforms and riding boots. Are we discussing the same franchise here? Naturally, the casting of non-Caucasian actors in the film also caused quite a stir. The Chinese movie-going audience is among the largest in the world. Casting Donnie Yen and Zhang Wen makes the film an easier sell for that market. It's a largely unexplored market for one of the most profitable franchises of all time. Also, casting actors with diverse backgrounds makes complete narrative sense. Oh, and by the way, Chirrut Imwe. Is he a Gary Stu? Because I seem to recall people thinking of him as a highlight in the film. Star Wars might not be inherently Republican or Democrat, but you don't have to keep politics out of it. That's not how art works. If you look to the original trilogy, the themes of overcoming adversity through solidarity and diversity, it's all right there. This is Star Wars, and it should be for everyone. What is Star Wars to you? Let's talk about it.